We're going to talk about Kevin Owens today and what this whole WrestleMania thing is going to be. Change up the format today. Check, check, check. Yeah, that works. Bring it in, cameraman. Apparently, Kevin Owens is really injured, and he's going to be out of WrestleMania and not doing the match with Randy Orton. Let's just change the lights here. Hang on. Let's make this a little bit more intimate. Ooh, I like that. That is like really, that's really good. The reports going online right now is like, I looked at Cultaholic and I know that there's other sources cited in there, but Kevin Owens, Randy Orton for WrestleMania 41 does not seem to be happening. And I'm pretty disappointed in this. Number one, if this is true, I'm sad for Kevin Owens and Randy. But if it's a real legit injury and this isn't just made up internet stuff and that he is indeed going to miss WrestleMania, I'm super bummed out because he's somebody that works hard all the time, it seems, top guy, and a match and a feud that I did want to see as a fan. I'm looking forward to Randy versus Kevin to see how that thing would end. And would Randy Orton finally become triumphant over the dastardly Kevin Owens? So if this is legit, if it is going to be true that he's missing WrestleMania, it's really, really too bad. I think that fans are going to miss that, and it's going to be a big chunk of Mania that they're not going to have. Like, what I mean is, like, that's a big star-studded match that you no longer have at your disposal. It's very weird to do a show with, like, the microphone. I don't do that. I have the other microphone. So it begs the question, at least to me, who replaces Kevin Owens? If they're not going to do this match at Mania, what do you do and what are your options? Where do we go from here? We still have what? As I'm recording this, it's Friday, so we have SmackDown, and then I think we have 2 more SmackDowns until WrestleMania. We have 3-ish weeks till Mania. It's really short amount of time to flip it and then just chuck Randy into some other match and have him go up against whoever. We don't know, again, the extent of the injury, assuming this is all real and he is legitimately going to miss Mania. I do wonder if they would pivot at WrestleMania itself. So continue to build, because we haven't seen Kevin Owens fight, like interact. He's done the promos with Randy and that's been it. So it's just going to be talking segments. If they want to play into the injury, I think they could do it. I think what they could end up doing is get to WrestleMania, maybe even before Mania. You could do a slight injury angle, like where Randy hits him with a chair. That takes him out for a week. Kevin Owens does car promos, and they continue to talk up the match, because I do feel that if you don't have Kevin there for Mania, are you going to lose Randy for Mania? This is why he came back at Chamber to set this thing up. It's a massive match. So if you don't have it, maybe what you do is at WrestleMania, you go through with the match as advertised. You plan to have it, because again, is it a head injury, arm, leg? We don't know. It is a body part, presumably a body part. And whatever it is, if he's limited in what he can do you set it up as just a brawl and not a full match? Do you do it as a no holds barred, unsanctioned? Triple H Batista did that. There's countless times where they've had unsanctioned, no holds barred type of matches, because you can do a lot of smoke and mirrors. You protect both guys, and in this case, Kevin Owens, so that you can try to go through with a match. Maybe he just has limited bumps and just doesn't go through with a lot of stuff. Or they go through to WrestleMania, but they change up how the match will play. Like, what if they do Sheamus Daniel Bryan, where it's 30 seconds? Like, what if it is just that? Randy gets in the ring, they go face to face, and it's an RKO out of nowhere. And then it's the punt kick. Boom. Randy wins. And the most Kevin had to do was take the bump for the RKO, and both guys would be super safe about it. So if you can get through that much of the match, I mean, you could just write it off that way. Fans would still pop for the idea of getting the RKO and the punt and it being over. And you're going to write Kevin off presumably for quite some time, assuming he's injured. So I think you could still go through with it. If WWE does not want to go through with it, and again, that scenario of like RKO, just a finisher, and it's over, of course, that's going to leave people going, man, what was that? That just ended out of nowhere. Is that really the right move? They can still build it up, and a lot of fans are obviously going to know that Kevin's injured. So I don't know. I think the guys could pull it off, and the announcers could play it up that Kevin Owens finally got what was coming to him, and it was just an RKO out of nowhere. And it's over. Other than that, do you go the other direction and have this match end before it even starts? Meaning Do we break it down and end this thing before WrestleMania? And as I say that, I got some other options I'm thinking about too. But let's say you didn't do it at Mania. Is it really a smart move to have Randy and Kevin end this feud, this SmackDown go home, where it's just a punt kick on SmackDown, boom, it's over, and then Randy goes on to WrestleMania to do what? An open challenge? I don't know. Do you scrap the angle entirely? Do you just drop it and say, we can't do this, we can't move forward, we're stuck, and you pivot Randy into something else? Do you get Randy pivoted over into the US title scene because they've been doing like the US title tournament? Maybe you do that and you have Randy being added in there, and then it becomes a multi-man match, another one, WrestleMania, of LA Knight, Jacob Fatu, Randy. Build it up that way. It doesn't even mean Randy would win at Mania. And then you could still go ahead if the idea is Jacob Fatu, Fatu pick up the US title. It really leaves both guys like in a rough spot, and WWE in a very, very peculiar, position that they can't do this match. So the other option you could do, I think, is have the match presented and done at WrestleMania. Have them go through with it in that fashion I spoke of like maybe it's a brawl. And maybe they do it for 10 minutes. Owens just doesn't take like a real bump. Just takes steel chair shots, kendo stick shots, and maybe one RKO at the end. Roll him out of there and it's over. You did that, then you could do somebody coming out as a surprise and they take on Randy Orton after or confront him. You could do Rusev, as WWE's reportedly just re-signed Rusev. I don't know if that's the best move. Does it make a lick of sense? No. Why would Rusev come out and challenge Orton? At least it would set up a future match for them or a series of matches, maybe even on TV. But you get the huge WrestleMania pop, and it would allow people to kind of forget in the moment of Kevin Owens. They roll him out. Now it's, look over here, we got this other thing going on, and it's Rusev showing up, and he's like the Redeemer character, which is what I hope he is from AEW. I hope they go in that direction with him and make him as this gigantic monster of a heel. He goes face to face with Randy, and that's how you end that segment. Again, massive WrestleMania moment, huge moment to pop for Rusev to see him back on TV. Another option, and this wouldn't go with how they promoted it and how the timing would work, but same thing. Kevin Owens loses at Mania in a quick match. Have Aleister Black come out and face Randy Orton. Lights go out, you do the smoke, and then Aleister's music hits. It's the one from NXT. Keep the original format. And then you have Aleister Black do the slow walk, comes out. And once again, I think you would get a massive, even bigger pop than Rusev if Aleister Black came out. He confronted Randy Orton at WrestleMania, and you can kickstart a feud there. I feel like they're going to do Randy and Cena at Backlash, but we don't know what the results are going to be. Obviously, at WrestleMania, it would make sense. It's in Randy Orton's hometown. So I don't know if they could go in that direction. Could you do this before WrestleMania? Could you do Randy taking out Kevin Owens on SmackDown this week, next week, whatever, and truly end it, hit him with a punt, and they've written Kevin Owens off? And then you get Kevin Owens maybe on the microphone to have a proxy for him at WrestleMania, being like, you kicked me in the head, you took me out, I can't go, but I've got this guy and he's going to be my representative, and do it like Rusev or something. Very thin logic here, ladies and gentlemen, by the way. Just it does not work very well because it's a really bad position to be in. If you dropped the Randy Kevin Owens story altogether, like let's just say from the time I'm recording this, SmackDown hasn't happened yet. If they are going to maybe announce that Kevin Owens cannot go, have Triple H come out. There's such a relationship between Triple H, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Have Triple H come out to the middle of the ring to start off SmackDown or close it. So you get the fanfare of Triple H being out there, King of Kings, Mr. Hall of Famer, and then he calls out Kevin Owens. He calls out Randy Orton in the ring, and he says to Kevin Owens that, like, I spoke to the doctors. You're not cleared for WrestleMania. This match is not going to happen. The crowd will boo and they will crap all over it. Kevin Owens could maybe push Triple H away and like try to get in his face, because we've seen that at previous pay-per-views, right? Where he had Owens, I forget which one it was, but you had Owens and Triple H barking at each other. Maybe it was Bash of Berlin, I don't know, but they were pushing each other, right? And it was kind of like off camera. So that they could revisit that, and then Randy Orton could maybe RKO Kevin Owens, and that's that. They could then lead into, see if they want to do like a bigger arc, You do that, and then you have later in the night, or the main event segment, Triple H announces that Randy Orton will have a new opponent for WrestleMania. And then cue up Rusev, cue up Aleister Black. I don't know outside of those guys, and I only mentioned those two because you got Rey Fenix, who's going to appear and debut on SmackDown, but that's not the Mania match. Do you pivot Randy Orton then into an exhibition style match and push up the debut of either of these guys? And I say these two because, you know, they're recently signed, and by all accounts, Aleister Black's coming like after WrestleMania. I'm looking at the SmackDown roster right now too, because outside of Rusev and Aleister Black as potentially debuting, I really don't know what Randy could do at WrestleMania that would make sense and that would be as kind of high profile. Now, WWE has no problem in just moving people from brand to brand, right? One thing you could do that I just thought of could be pretty interesting is you have, I don't know if he's still injured or would come back from injury, Wyatt 6 versus Randy Orton. You have Bo Dallas confront, maybe there's Kevin Owens and Randy in the ring on SmackDown, or even if you wanted to kind of push it to WrestleMania, and then you have the Wyatt 6 show up again, SmackDown or Mania, lights go out, boom, the whole Wyatt 6 is in there, and they're targeting Randy Orton. This could work because you would have the entire relationship and back history of Randy and Bray Wyatt. That's an instant match. Could Randy win it? Sure, but you could have him dish out RKOs to the rest of the Wyatt family, the Wyatt 6. You could incorporate Alexa Bliss into the plans, and maybe she even confronts Randy Orton because of that relationship with The Fiend and Randy. They had the match at WrestleMania. But what if you had Bliss show up in full Wyatt gear and brings in the Wyatt 6? And again, that would kind of exit stage left, stage right for Kevin Owens, unfortunately. But then you bring up this really cool idea and this really cool matchup that you don't need a lot of months or weeks to really plan out, because you already have such a big back history between Wyatt and Randy and even Bliss, and mixing it all in there, and you go, all right, we got a match, we got something that we can actually work with. They can just pull from Bliss and Randy's history together in vignettes, and then you can have Bo Dallas in the ring doing the spooky stuff as well, doing spooky vignettes against Randy. That could, that could work. They could do that again. If Kevin's out and you got to pivot on TV over the next 2 weeks in SmackDown, that is one way to do it, assuming Bo Dallas is healthy, because I remember he was injured. I look at the rest of the SmackDown roster, and everyone else really feels like they are in a program or it doesn't make any sense. Like Randy versus Carmelo Hayes at WrestleMania. Like, no. Andrade versus Randy at WrestleMania. No. A random tag partner with Randy to get into the tag titles. No. And would you put him on Raw? Again, it's so bad because it just doesn't make any sense to do that. I personally do think, as we've gone through all of this, I think that the best options are Rusev, Aleister Black, or Wyatt 6 altogether. Even if Bo is not 100% healthy, once again, you can run those vignettes of Bliss and Bo and Randy all mixing it up. Aleister Black would be really cool at WrestleMania. I think like the whole vignette has been like a 4, which could just mean after Mania. It's just how they get there. The bottom line is that Kevin Owens, Randy Orton feud, if it's not happening at Mania, it's such a bummer. Randy and Kevin was a feud that I was looking forward to as a match. If it's not happening, because we don't know until WWE officially announces it, be curious how they pivot. Here's one positive element out of all of it. It sucks when people are injured and high profile talent and people that are like on top that are great. Like Kevin Owens is just, I'm sorry, for me as a fan, Kevin Owens is great. The one positive that comes out of it is that WWE gets put in a position where their back's against the wall and they have to push the creative envelope. They have to do something different and pivot. And when they pivot, they tend to find something better or something that can work. I think of WrestleMania with The Rock at WrestleMania 40 coming in there and kicking Cody out of the main event, and WWE essentially having to pivot around and react to the fans and make it work. And look what we got at Mania 40. I'm not saying it's going to be at that level, but they can come out with something really cool. And you could still do Kevin, Randy down the road. If Kevin Owens has to be gone for 6 months or something, you could come back for SummerSlam and you could do the Randy Kevin Owens match at SummerSlam. Depends how they're going to finish it up. But what do you think WWE is going to do? What do you think is going to be the big plan if Kevin Owens can't make it to Mania, or if he does and they got to tweak it? I'd love to know your thoughts. If you guys want to talk more WWE, click this video right here. We're talking John Cena and what could be happening at WrestleMania and after WrestleMania. Have a great day. See ya. I'm probably going to change this back. I don't really love having a mic right here, but anyways, I'm going to go put this away, and then we'll do another video, SmackDown review. That'll come up. Bye, guys.